Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host, and I'm on cloud nine. Can you see my big butt floating in the air right now? I'm like a blimp that's floating in the air. I'm on cloud nine. That football game last night was absolutely amazing. It was amazing. Look, hit the 5-star rating on Apple. Please do that right now. Go to fearlessmission.com, become a subscriber. And so I just got to get that out of the way. Use my promo code Fearless for $20 off, all that. I got to get that out of the way because I can't hold my horses. I am on cloud nine. Fernando Mendoza, he wrote a movie last night. That was a movie script that played out last night. And the name of the movie is Rocky Mendoza. That was an incredible game. I'm going right into it, Luke. Let's get the OTS up. That was an incredible movie last night. Rocky Balboa turned into Rocky Mendoza. And look, there's other parts to the movie beyond Fernando Mendoza. And hopefully I'll get there today. But I'm going to start by talking about Fernando Mendoza and the movie that played out last night. And for those of you who are more secular than I am, I'm probably going to annoy you. But I cannot deny what this movie was last night. And some of you, I had a good friend, and I've had others reach out to me over email and over Twitter. Man, you got to bring Daniel Kelly on. I can't wait to hear him talk about Fernando Mendoza. You got to bring JB on. I can't wait to hear him talk about Fernando Mendoza now. And look, I like and respect Daniel Kelly, the mock doc. I love and respect Coach JB. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about those guys. And anything you hear me say isn't like trying to be a direct shot at those guys. Because I like and respect both of them. Appreciate having them on the show. But Fernando Mendoza has gone completely over their head. They have no idea what they're watching. What we watched last night, that was a miracle. That was the completion of a miracle. That was a testament and a statement about faith and how it can elevate you. Fernando Mendoza and the Indiana Hoosiers have been elevated well beyond where they're supposed to be, well beyond where their talents can take them. Because we watched a movie the entire season. The entire season, Indiana Hoosiers football season, was a movie. And what a great dramatic finish that was. Here is a kid that tells you, hey, I was a 2-star recruit. They wouldn't even let me walk on at Miami. My parents are Miami grads. My mom played tennis there. My dad was on the crew team. I couldn't even walk on at Miami. But here I am back at home playing where the Hurricanes play. And the Miami Hurricanes come into this game determined to beat me up, to bully me. Did you see the beginning of that game where they cheap shot at Mendoza and bloodied his lip, helmet to the chin, the whole nine? They did that was intentional. They're trying to punk Fernando Mendoza. This big, goofy quarterback, nerdy guy that's always laughing and smiling and crying. we can punk him. And so they tried early on in that game to beat the mess out of Fernando Mendoza. We heard Cignetti, the Indiana head coach, say, like, hey, man, there were 3 cheap shots right at the beginning of this game that all should have been flagged personal fouls. They wanted to punk Fernando Mendoza. And he looks like a kid that can be punked. Look at how goofy he is. Look at that silly smile. He's always crying. Yeah, let's punk and bully Fernando Mendoza. Let's check his manhood. Holy cow, did this kid have an answer for the Miami Hurricanes? That was amazing. That was biblical last night. That was a story about a young football player tapping into his faith and taking on his enemies, the people sent to destroy him, with a smile on his face. For that, Fernando Mendoza, we talk about the matriarchy and all the alphabet mafia and all of the LGBTQIA plus silent P crowd. We talk about the Black Lives Matter crowd. We talk about the gays and all. They're going to redefine masculinity. And what we just saw last night on a football field in the national championship game was Fernando Mendoza defining masculinity. And those of us that are Jesus freaks, Christians, those of us with a brain, we already knew what masculinity really looks like. It looks like Fernando Mendoza, the big goofy kid who the Miami kids thought, oh man, we can snatch his soul. We can put some hits on him early in this game and snatch his soul, and he'll fold up. And it's like, hey, Hurricanes, have you not been paying attention? Do you not know where this kid comes from, where his source of confidence and strength and masculinity comes from? You think this kid's a punk? His mother can't get out of a chair. His father has stuck with his wife, his mother, despite her MS, supported her unbelievably, and you think this kid's a punk after he's watched what his mother and father and what he have gone through in supporting his mother? You think you can snatch this kid's soul with a few cheap shots and hits? No dice. No dice. Fernando Mendoza, that was, you guys have heard of Angel Studios. They come out with all these Christian faith-based movies. They have to do the Fernando Mendoza story. Have to. This grows up in Miami, dreams of playing for the Hurricanes. He's a 2-star recruit. Miami has no interest in him playing. Now we won't even invite you as a walk-on. He has to go all the way off to California somewhere to play college football. And he's got all of these, and from Daniel Kelly to JB to everybody else, judging him on his NFL draft prospects, on what type of NFL player he will be, rather than judging him on what he's doing on a college football field. Rather than looking at all of his strengths, his willingness to be a team player, his willingness to submit and surrender to his head coach, his willingness to never put himself above the team, his humility, his courage, the things that his family, his mother and father and brothers have planted in him. Rather than talking about those things, we spend all this time talking about, well, his arm's not strong enough. He can't get past the first or second progression. We talk about the things he can't do rather than the things he can do. We evaluate him not on the game that he is playing. He's in college football, playing for the losingest team program in the history of college football. What is he doing for them? What is he doing for Curt Cignetti and the football program Curt Cignetti is trying to uplift? That is the story. And I get that we like to project and we like to talk about, hey, what's he going to do in the NFL? Well, he's not playing in the NFL right now. He's playing college football. And he was the perfect quarterback for the Indiana Hoosiers and Curt Cignetti to pull off a 16-0 season. And so here we are. I'm watching the game like everybody else last night, and Indiana's winning. And they block a punt, and the running game has done enough, and you know, the defense has done enough. And so we get into the fourth quarter, and I am sitting there like, oh man, Coach JB, Daniel Kelly, these other guys, they're going to be shredding Fernando Mendoza. Indiana won the national championship while Fernando Mendoza had done nothing. And they're going to launch into it's great that they won, but Fernando Mendoza did nothing. And then we got into the fourth quarter, and Fernando Mendoza did everything. He was the man for the moment when his coach is like, hey, we're going for it on fourth down. 4th and 5 at one point, 4th and 4 at another point. Fernando Mendoza lets his, and I apologize for these words, he lets his balls drop. And it's like, I don't care that they've cheap shotted me all game. I don't care that they think I'm a punk and that I'm going to fold up. On the first fourth down play, when he hits the Charlie Becker with the back shoulder throw for the first down, I was like, oh, man, all right, Fernando has shown up. He's here. He's him. And then when they send the field goal team out on the field, they're up 3. They're in the red zone. It's 4th and 4. Curt Cignetti sends the field goal team out onto the field, and then he says, 6-point lead. My defense is kind of tired. And you know what? I got this kid who's built for this moment. I've got this movie star. I've got this faith-based kid who epitomizes Christian masculinity, which is really just masculinity. He's made for this moment. Did y'all see after the game when Holly Rowe showed you, hey, lift your arm up, Fernando, show him all the bruises and how beat up you were? This kid took a beating. And in the fourth quarter, with the game on the line and with a chance to take a 2-possession lead, Curt Cignetti knew exactly what he had in Fernando Mendoza. He had the man for the moment, the man that was man enough for the moment, the man who couldn't be punked. And he called a quarterback draw. And Fernando Mendoza pulled off one of the great runs from the quarterback position in a clutch situation that we will ever see in college football. That play, that touchdown run, will be played from here until eternity. For the next 50 years, when they talk about big moments in college football, they will be pointing to Fernando Mendoza running through the Miami defense. The same Miami defense that tried to punk him with cheap shots in the first quarter. The same Miami defense that thought this kid's not built for this. And look, I like Miami. I really do. I don't hate Miami. But we know what Miami is. Let me be clear here. I do not hate Miami. When I think of Miami football, I think of one of my favorite players of all time, Ray Lewis. I think of Ed Reed. I think of Michael Irvin. I think of Warren Sapp. I think of Jerome. These tough players, but again, they are city kids. When I think of Miami, just in general, who all think they're more manly than the suburban kids. And Fernando Mendoza is a suburban kid. And the city kids always think they can punk the suburban kids. And there is a cultural shift going on right now where we're starting to find out, like, now, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, I mean it honestly. We're starting to find out, like, oh man, these city kids, they ain't got no daddy. They don't know how to submit. Their balls aren't nearly as big as they pretend because they didn't have a daddy. And the suburban kids have daddies. And some of them have good daddies that stick around when their wife has MS and can't walk and demonstrate to their sons in the home, in their relationship, in their marriage. You want to see what masculinity looks like? It looks like sticking by this woman with MS and loving her the exact same way I did when she could walk and she had total control of her body and she was a beauty queen. And look, I don't know the Mendozas. I don't know the details of their relationship. I don't know and I don't care. What I know is what I see on television is that man standing next to that woman, supporting and loving her, and her being an inspiration to her son, and their marriage being an inspiration to their son, and their marriage demonstrating a level of masculinity that a lot of these city kids, they're missing. They've been raised and discipled by their mothers. And I want to be heard in context because I don't want you to think I'm taking cheap shots. Because I'm not. It's like the Mark Fletcher kid, the running back for Miami. I like him. Good player. Him and his mother at all the games. It's a good story. Not trying to denigrate them. But the Fletcher kid, when the game was over, he was taking swings at Indiana football players. I don't know what sparked it. Maybe he was disrespected or whatever. But the Fletcher kid, that's Miami. And I'm being crystal clear. I like Miami football. I like a lot of their players. I get it. But I really get it. That, like, hey, there's these city kids that have defined Miami football, and some of them are turned into some of the greatest football players. The University of Miami, they got so many gold jackets, Hall of Fame football players. Not trying to disrespect them. But Miami's always had this so-called swagger and this so-called attitude that, when we get a chance to punk one of these suburban schools and suburban kids, we're going to snatch their soul. We're going to snatch their confidence. And what we're living through in the 2020s, what we're witnessing right now, is like all that swagger, all that, hey, all the stuff you take from the movies, all that prison culture mentality, all of that fronting like you're tough. Fernando Mendoza, I'm reluctant to call him a white boy because he's Cuban, but he's a Christian from a Christian family, from a nuclear family. And we got to come up out of the denial that somehow these single mamas are raising men of the same standard, quality, and consistency as these people from two-parent families, two-parent Christian families. Fernando Mendoza defined masculinity last night. When the going got tough, he got tougher, and when called upon in the fourth quarter, he was the toughest man on the football field and came up with the biggest play of the entire college football season and one of the most memorable plays in the history of college football. And then he did it with that same goofy smile. When they bloodied him up in the fourth quarter, there's no clip of that cheap shot and him getting his mouth busted open in the first quarter. I didn't see any clip example of Fernando Mendoza going to the referees and whining and complaining. How did you miss this call? Yes. Did Curt Cignetti do it? Yes. But Fernando Mendoza did not see himself as any sort of victim. I'm sorry for doing this, but I'm just keeping it real today. You got Dion's son, Shedeur, who grew up in the lap of luxury, grew up in like a 40,000 square foot house with a multimillionaire father, divorced, but with all this ghetto hip-hop mentality, and Shedeur Sanders has somehow turned himself into a victim. He's being mistreated in the NFL. Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns. I didn't get any first-team reps. Always victimhood. Christianity rejects the victimhood mentality. Fernando Mendoza never sees himself as a victim. And that attitude permeates that Indiana University football team. He's the perfect partner for Curt Cignetti. It's no different than Tom Brady with Bill Belichick. And early on in Tom Brady's NFL career, Bill Belichick and that defense carried Tom Brady. And then Brady would make a play or two at the end of games. That's what we just saw from Fernando Mendoza. Brady completely surrendered to Belichick. They put together a 20-year dynasty, win 6 Super Bowls together. In the early stages, Brady carried by the defense, but would make just enough clutch plays to get it done. And then in the second half of his career, Brady becomes the best quarterback in football. I don't know what's going to happen to Fernando Mendoza. I don't know, or I really don't care if he's a great NFL player. But I think it's time for people to quit hyper-focusing on his limitations and shortcomings and start celebrating what makes this kid great. What makes him a winner. What makes him someone willing to stand up to the bullies and never fold. And become a great player in the clutch. I want to play the clip of Fernando Mendoza with Holly Rowe after the game. Kids said it all. Play the clip. Total goofball. He's a total goofball. You got to learn to love it. I mean, seriously, you have to learn to love it. It's what makes him unique and special and perfect for this time that we're in today. This is, I told y'all when I started this, I'm on cloud 9. Because we need kids like this in the spotlight. fighting against this or standing against, being a symbol against like this whole little hip hop thug thing. Let me tat myself up. Let me dress myself up so that I'm by appearance intimidating and look hard and tough. Let me put my gold chains on so everybody can look. Oh, I'm wealthy. I'm making a lot of money. Fernando Mendoza goes the completely opposite direction. Dude looks like somebody straight off of Leave It to Beaver or My Three Sons. And for those of you that are not old enough, those are like old school, goofy TV shows about suburban white boys. That's what Fernando Mendoza looks like. He's a killer. He's not afraid of anything or anybody because of his faith. And I know some people don't like to hear that. And you're sitting there, man, God doesn't care who wins a football game. I'm not saying God does care who wins a football game, because he doesn't. But the rewards for any of us, whether we're playing football, whether we're playing dominoes in the backyard, whether we're playing softball, whether we are the CEO of a major company, whether we are a small businessman, whether we are a parent, whether we are a husband, a wife, or whatever, every pursuit imaginable is enhanced if you lean into and surrender to Jesus Christ. It's how you conquer fear. It's how you go from, hey, I'm a 2-star recruit that Miami didn't even want. These guys are out here playing dirty football against me. I'm never going to bat an eye or blink. I'm never going to whine and complain and see myself as a victim. When they bust my mouth open with an illegal helmet to the chin hit, I'm not going to reach out to the referees. I'm going to wipe the blood from my mouth and continue on in this fight. What an amazing story we watched last night. What an amazing player Fernando Mendoza is. What an amazing example he is. And so, and I'm not saying, hey, there's guys in the Miami locker room that were leaning into their faith as well. And Carson Beck, the quarterback for Miami, had crosses under his eyes. He's had it all season. I think he's got some sort of a faith walk. I get it. But Carson Beck was a 4 or 5-star recruit. And this kid was a 2-star recruit that nobody wanted. Everybody's wanted. Carson Beck's played at Georgia and now Miami. But if you want to elevate yourself in any endeavor, be more like Fernando Mendoza. Lean into that faith. You won't be afraid. You won't back down. And when it matters the most, you'll run through, break tackles, juke out better athletes, and dive into the end zone and be the hero of the football game. This is a movie, man. That's why this is, and not that I make the Rocky Balboa analogy, not because Rocky was some sort of faith-based movie, but Rocky was an underdog, man, an unbelievable story. And we thought that story is like, oh man, this is one of the most incredible stories in the history of movies. And it's like almost like Rocky has become like a real life character. I mean, a real life person. A character from a movie has been our big shining example of what an underdog could accomplish. Well, now we have Fernando Mendoza, a real life example, not some fictional movie character. What he did, 16-0, again, a lot of this for me is personal because I grew up in Indiana. I probably started going to Indiana football games in the late 1970s. Guy named Damon Furbrush. He was the dad of a kid that I played junior high and high school football with. Me and his son were best friends. And his dad, Damon Furbrush, used to love to go to Indiana football games. And I would tag along with him, and we'd stop and eat at Hinkle's Hamburger in Bloomington, Indiana. But I've been following Indiana football since Tim Wilbur and Dwayne Gunn and Lee Corso, and when Sam Weiss was the head coach. I'm from Indianapolis. It's an hour, I think, south or north of Bloomington. And then my first job out of college, the only newspaper in the country that would give me a shot, and trust me, I wrote every newspaper in the country looking for a job. I wasn't very qualified because I drank too much beer and smoked too much weed at Ball State and was kind of an idiot jerk. And so the best that I could do was get a $5 an hour job at the Bloomington Herald-Times. I think it was the Bloomington Herald-Telephone at that time. But I had to take a part-time job at $5 an hour as a college graduate. The Bloomington Herald-Times and Bob Zaltzberg and Bob Hamill took a shot on me. And so my first job is at IU, and I covered Bill Mallory, or not covered, but I tagged along in some of the coverage of the Indiana University football program. Bill Mallory was the coach. I can remember the last good assignment I had there, I went to the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. They took on Auburn in 1990. Lost to Stan White, had a pretty good game. Trent Green, Von Dunbar were the stars of those Indiana teams. And then the next year in 91, I was gone, but that's when they won the Copper Bowl and won their last bowl game. But I'm connected to the history of Indiana University and their football program. I know it well. I participated in covering it a little bit, and I know the people personally, the people that covered Indiana for decades, all poured into me and invested in me and launched my journalism career, and that's from Bob Hamill to Andy Graham to Rex Kurtz to Lynn Hauser to John Harrell to Pat Bean. Never forget any of these people. Never forget my time in Bloomington, Indiana, and getting to know, even on a deeper level, the history of Indiana football and basketball, and to see the Indiana football program 16-0, the best team in the country, an all-time great team. That's why it feels so personal, and it's touching me at such a deep level. This is a miracle. Fernando Mendoza and what Indiana has it's a miracle. And Fernando Mendoza's individual story, it's a miracle. I get some of you can only analyze this from, hey, what kind of a pro prospect is Fernando Mendoza going to be? If that's all you can see right now, I feel sorry for you. You need to remove the scales from your eyes. There's a much bigger story being told here, and I'm glad that I was able to explain it, share it with you all. Had to get that off my chest. Awesome game last night. Bucky Brooks is going to join me next. Before Bucky gets here, though, I do want to, this is a perfect segue. I want to tell you guys about PreBorn and why PreBorn is such a great sponsor for this show, such a great partner for me, because PreBorn shares my worldview that life begins at conception, and PreBorn's organization is dedicated to helping expectant mothers who are considering ending that baby's life, PreBorn explains to them that no, that's a life growing inside of you. They provide those expectant mothers with an ultrasound that introduces that baby's heartbeat and an image of that baby while the baby's in the womb, and the mother is now twice as likely to choose life. She was considering aborting the baby. Now she's twice as likely to choose life. And that's when PreBorn really steps in and steps up, because they support that woman and child for up to 2 years. And they can do it because we support PreBorn with our money. Our money is not wasted. It's not spent on mid-level executives and summer homes and vacations. Our money pays for ultrasounds. Each ultrasound is $28. 5 ultrasounds is $140. I'm telling you, after last night's game and what we witnessed this year from Indiana, you guys should know, like, God is real. Miracles do happen. We just watched one in the sports world. And so, hey, you guys can help a miracle happen. Every time a baby is brought into this world, it's a gift. It's a miracle from God. Let's save some babies' lives today, right now. Pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, say the keyword baby. Or give the way that I prefer to give, preborn.com/fearless. I'm going to take a little sip of water here, catch my breath. I'll be back in like 45 seconds, a minute, with Bucky Brooks. Next! They can make anything sound good. The words that I'm saying right now on this show, they can put a beat behind it, beat behind it, beat behind it, beat behind it, and put their sales team behind it, and put their television industry behind it, and put their internet algorithms behind it, and make the words that I'm saying right now into a rap song. Beat behind it, beat behind it, beat behind it. That the idiots in the world, and I'm talking about me and everybody else, we will buy it and call it great. Beat behind it, beat behind it. The music industry doesn't reward talent, not the American music industry, not the world's music industry. It doesn't reward talent. It rewards the promotion of degeneracy. All right, welcome back and welcome in former NFL defensive back, NFL Network employee, former NFL scout, still writes and talks a lot about NFL prospects. He was on the show, I believe, with us last week or the week before, Bucky Brooks. Welcome back to the show. Bucky, I want to start with Fernando Mendoza. And I think there's so much focus on what he's going to be like in the NFL rather than focus on what he is in college football that I think people are missing just how miraculous and how incredible what he accomplished this season actually is.
Yeah, an incredible accomplishment, what he was able to do in 1 year at Indiana. For them to go 16-0, for him to be, a part of a team that dominated college football. I mean, like, they will go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest team in college football based on the way they ran through their slate. And with Mendoza transferring from Cal, becoming a Heisman Trophy winner, you talked about the underdog story. He talked about at the end of the game being a 2-star recruit who wanted to go to Miami, was barely looked at, made his way across the country, and eventually caps off a great collegiate career with a championship. It doesn't get better than that. And I do think you're right about the discourse. We should be able to separate what he is been as a collegiate player and what he might be as a pro. He fully deserves his flowers. That run that he made on 4th and 5, the quarterback draw to score the touchdown, will go down in history as one of the more gutsy plays that we've ever seen. And so we can give him his flowers as a collegiate player while still being able to eventually talk about what he may be as a pro.
So, and not in a super negative way, because I like Miami football and I certainly like a lot of their players. But I felt like in typical Miami tradition over the last 30, 40 years. Miami kind of looked at Fernando and maybe even Indiana as like, hey, we're city kids. These are suburban kids. We can punk Fernando Mendoza. And I thought they, in the first quarter, were extra physical with him. Should have been called for some unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. But I think they thought they could punk Fernando Mendoza. And I think they found out that you can't. He never batted an eye. He never complained about the hits. This kid's level of toughness is a gift.
Yeah, look, I will give him credit for being tough because the one thing that I wanted to see is I felt like Indiana has always been able to play in front. They haven't had a level of an adversity where you could see the metal that he would have to display. And Miami took the fight to Indiana in terms of turning up the heat when it came to the physicality early in the game. One of the things that you want to see, and you know this, like now that we're in the playoffs, NFL playoffs, is everything is about the quarterback. And so you want to hit the quarterback, you want to hit him hard. If you can get him out the game, you get him out the game. But the quarterback must be hit because most quarterbacks change. And even after Mendoza got hit early in the game, it did impact his play a little bit. We saw the first time that Indiana's offense lost some of their rhythm in the passing game because Ruben Bain and Messidor were able to sack him and knock him around a little bit, like most quarterbacks react. But when it mattered the most, yeah, give him his credit because what he did, putting his body on the line for that touchdown, that game-winning play, speaks volumes about the toughness that he brings as a competitor.
All right, let's deal with the elephant in the room because it was a thought of mine, particularly during the first three quarters. Like, oh, I think Mendoza's maybe losing some money here. But now at the end of the game, I don't know. You have more expertise as it relates to scouting. Did Fernando Mendoza elevate himself as a draft prospect, stay the same, or diminish himself as a draft prospect last night?
I think it always just stay the same. I think as an evaluator, you grade the entire body of work. I think what is interesting, some of the points that we talked about when our previews came on about the difference between a game manager and a game changer and those things as it projects. I find it interesting that in each of the wins that Indiana had along the college football playoff road, he threw for under 200 yards. And there was a moment in the game where I wondered Curt Cignetti had an opportunity to either go for it to win the game or to kick the field goal. And most of the time, in those moments, you put the ball in the hands of your best player. They ran the football and then they kicked a field goal. Some evaluators will look at that and they'll have questions and they'll ask Cignetti about that. But what I will say is he is really good at throwing the back shoulder fade. And when we talk about what guys have, everyone has to have a signature move, a signature thing that they can go to in the clutch. And I would say he might be the best back shoulder fade thrower that I've seen. And that throw catapulted Aaron Rodgers into a four-time MVP based on the way that he threw that repeatedly to Green Bay. Now, I'm not putting Fernando Mendoza in the Aaron Rodgers category as a pro, but there's some things that you can look and say, oh, that's great. There are also some things that maybe you just need to see more of, but you won't get that opportunity until he's in the pros. How does he handle when they take away his first read? Can he go to the second and third read and the progression? I'm gonna say this. I think Indiana's coaching staff is on another level in terms of their preparation and process and how they make the game easy for their players. I think they did a really good job of scripting things open for him. The next level for him when he gets to the pros, when everyone plays sticky coverage on the outside, does he have enough tools in his toolbox to defeat it, either with his arm or with his mobility? That's the thing. But I think it's undeniable. He's going to be the first guy taking. He's going to be the number one overall pick in the draft, and he's QB1 in this draft class. What we have to see is the team that takes him, can they build enough around him where he can be successful? I think that is the million-dollar question when it comes to Fernando Mendoza.
You've said something really fascinating that we're going to have to stick here for a moment. I got to zero in on that. But before I do that, you made a comment that Cignetti chose to run the ball and kick a field goal. And maybe my memory is just fuzzy because I'm on such a cloud nine. But all I can think about is like they didn't kick the field goal. They ran the ball with Mendoza and won the game. Refresh my memory of what scenario you're talking about.
Okay, so with 2 minutes left, Miami is out of timeouts, and it's a 3-point lead. The ball is deep in the red zone, and we've seen a change in the NFL where these coaches are bypassing points, trying to finish the game on their own terms on offense. On third down, it was third and about 7, third and 5. Indiana has to make a decision. We can run the ball and let the time keep running, or we can throw it and try and win the game at that moment. They ran the ball. They then came in and kicked the field goal to push the lead to 27-21, and then they
Gotcha.
relied on their defense to finish it. Some offensive-minded coaches would say, "Hey, I got the Heisman Trophy winner. I got the best player in college football. I'm gonna rely on him to get it done." Indiana opted for a different course of action. It worked out for him, but it's one of those things when you're watching the tape that people will have questions that they're asking Cignetti about their situation. But I will say this: Cignetti did Mendoza solid because in the post-game interview, he talked about what the kid meant to the team, what he meant to the program, and how they wouldn't accomplish what they've accomplished without him there. And so everyone needs an advocate and an endorser to kind of make the evaluators feel good about the selection they will make on a prospect. I think he has been endorsed by a lot of people, and he is clearly QB1 in this class. Now it's about when you take him, wherever you take him, if you take him at number one, how can you make the pick right by building the infrastructure around him for him to be able to be successful?
So, I love Fernando Mendoza. Want him to be celebrated. Want him on my NFL roster. Jason Whitlock, would not want any part of taking him in the first 15 picks. And so it was to hear you say he still may go number one kind of surprises me. I would love to get him at the top of the second round
Mhm.
and put him in a spot where, hey, you can come in and be a backup for a year or two. That I just don't top of the draft, first 5 pick of the draft. I think that would be a mistake for Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, because the expectations, I don't know if he can live up to the expectations that come along with being a number one overall pick or a top 5 pick. And we had that conversation because the names that I brought up Jared Goff, and people were like, well, yeah, he was number one overall. But then I also want to remind people how it was topsy-turvy for him in LA based on the expectations and based on what he brought to the table. Sean McVay comes with a system and a coaching staff and an expertise that allowed Jared Goff to go. But then remember, Sean McVay eventually moved off of him. He goes to Detroit. And many people didn't expect him to have the bounce back that he would have in Detroit based on when he was traded away and those things. Maybe Mendoza has another gear to his game, but we don't know. And the thing about some of the things that you can't see on tape, just because it doesn't show up on tape doesn't mean that he can't do it. It just means that we haven't seen it. And I'm more likely to take a negative thing when I say, like, hey, can he get to the second and third read? Will his athleticism translate when he escapes NFL defenses and those things? Does he have enough mobility to be able to do it? At Cal, he certainly looked like he could do it. So just because we bring up questions doesn't mean that he can't do it. It's just an unresolved answer to that question. But I will agree with you. When you take him number one overall, people are going to compare him to the young quarterbacks that we might have saw this weekend. Does he have the talent that matches a Caleb Williams? Can he play at an MVP level like Drake May? Can he match what Jaden Daniels did as an offensive rookie of the year there? What people will do is compare him to the historic quarterbacks that have gone number one. And I don't know if he's going to match up like those guys when it comes to a talent perspective.
So you already referenced Curt Cignetti and what an amazing job his staff does. I think Indiana, whether it's the all-time great team, I would say no. I do think Curt Cignetti has pulled off the greatest coaching job in the
Mm-hmm.
history of college football. And I part of me translating this to the NFL. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, and I've heard Curt Cignetti say I'm a college guy, but if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I make Curt Cignetti tell me no. I've got Josh Allen, and all-time great quarterback talent that can't get to the Super Bowl. I'm going to okay, who's the best coach I can get so I can maximize this Josh Allen deal? Okay, I'll pay Curt Cignetti $25 million a year to come fix my Josh Allen problem. I would make Curt Cignetti say no. Am I crazy?
I think you're a little crazy. I think the game is completely different. I think Kirk Cignetti, one, given his age because he's in his 60s, two, having to learn the lay of the land when it comes to going from the college game to the pro game is different. And three, man, he is so good where he's at. Like, why would you want to do all the hard work to get Indiana up and going where now it's probably going to be a destination spot? We've seen they killed it in the portal in January, early January. They have more players. And so to win without a ton of 4 and 5 stars, now he will have a more talented roster at his disposal. I think this is just when the fun happens. He is a terrific coach. And I do believe when you're talking about Buffalo, they do need someone who is going to be a terrific, not only X and O's coach, but a culture builder. And Curt Cignetti might be one of those guys who's a rarity, who understands the X's and O's and the details and the CEO part of what it should look like on a daily basis. Yeah, maybe Josh Allen needs that, but Buffalo is a unique situation because I feel like they let go of a coach that was really good in Sean McDermott, and I think they're going to be hard pressed to find a guy that is a culture builder like him in this cycle.
Who should Buffalo hire? It's the best job in football. It's got a franchise quarterback, and now they're a little bit late. They've missed out on Harbaugh and Stefanski, and who is the right coach for Buffalo?
Man, I don't know because like here's the thing with Buffalo, and everyone in Buffalo was mad at me yesterday when I tweeted this. I was like, they will have a greater appreciation for what Sean McDermott did because this is a team that was devoid of uh, impact players outside of Josh Allen, James Cook, and Deion Dawkins. The rest of the roster was fine, but Sean McDermott did a great job of helping the defense overachieve, in my estimation, based on what they have. Now everyone is want will want to go all in on Josh Allen and build the things around him, but you still got to fix that defense. To me, I think it has to be someone who is systematic, a proven system. It has to be a guy like a Clint Kubiak, where we've seen the Shanahan system take average players and make them Pro Bowlers, and take Pro Bowlers and make them MVPs, like we saw the system do with Matt Ryan down in Atlanta. I think for Josh Allen, what you want to do is you want his game to elevate while lightening the load on him. As he gets older, we can't rely on him to be the athletic freak that he's been, to be the guy that's scoring 14 rushing touchdowns and doing those things. This has to be a system that allows him to play the game more from the pocket, allows him to operate at an efficient level while surrounding him with more talent. So it's not so much just a Josh Allen show.
Why not, if I'm Buffalo, why not go out and get the best defensive coordinator available and say, look, man, Josh Allen's going to score points because he's Josh Allen. I want to see if I can elevate my defense even more. And I know McDermott was doing that, but why wouldn't Jesse Minter or Brian Flores be, the great options for Buffalo?
Because I think the noise from our side, the media side, Jason, has a lot of impact and influence. And even though front office people will deny that, they hear the noise, and owners in particular hear the noise. And so, what you even said in referencing Josh Allen, hey, best job available, generational quarterback, super talented, whatever. So, naturally, that makes the hiring crew think, I need to get someone that can take his game to another level. We're wasting his prime. And so, you tend to go opposite of what you had. They just had a defensive coach. They just had a culture builder who was a terrific X and O's guy on defense. Naturally, the pendulum swings the other way. They're going to try and get an offensive guy. We've heard names like Brian Daboll being banted around. They talked about elevating Joe Brady. You talked about Clint Kubiak or one of the other guys. But I'm going to tell you right now, in this cycle, there's not a lot of offensive guys. The offensive side of the tree has been picked apart because the last few hiring cycles have been all the sexy names on the offensive side of the ball are gone. It's going to be interesting to see who they hire because they're going to be hard pressed to find a coach that is better than the coach that walked out the door. Someone who in 9 years went to 8 playoffs, had a ridiculous one-loss percentage, won 5 straight division titles. I mean, you're talking about a guy that has to be a home run hire that can win a Super Bowl. And I know people keep talking about like, hey, it might be the Andy Reid thing in Philadelphia. It might be, but then Nick Sirianni, after winning the Super Bowl, has had a lot of turmoil and discord and stuff within the building. So this is going to be a fascinating hire for Brandon Beane to have to make.
It I'll argue the other side why maybe they should go with an offensive coach, like you said, is if I'm Buffalo, I'm like, hey man, Josh Allen right before halftime did one of the dumbest things in the history of football, and I
Mm-hmm.
need a coach that can get that dumbness out of him because that has been, he just takes way too many risks. And we don't want to undermine his gambler nature because it makes him great,
Mm-hmm.
but he can't be retarded. And that scramble before halftime is, he needs a head coach that he's partnered with who can get that out of him.
Yeah, and look, and that's going to be some of the conversation, particularly as it relates to Brian Daboll, someone that knows him, someone that has held him accountable before as an offensive coordinator. But now you're just going to task him with doing a little more. Naturally, people can be like, well, if he couldn't get it done in New York, why are we so confident that it can get done in Buffalo? Well, we're in a league where I just saw Kevin Stefanski win 8 games and get a better job in Atlanta than he had in Cleveland. So things can happen for offensive guys if it's someone that you believe can take the quarterback and the team to the next level. There may be a feeling in the building for sure that Brian Daboll can take Josh Allen and make him even a better version of the MVP version. Because remember, when Brian Daboll took Josh Allen, it was on the heels of Josh Allen kind of being all over the place as a gunslinger, had some epic, egregious errors that he made. And so they cleaned and smoothed all of that stuff out and got it going. So maybe it is a Brian Daboll, maybe it is a Kubiak that can help him take his game to another level by helping him play more efficiently from the pocket. But man, it's going to have to be someone that can get it done right away because the expectations in Buffalo that this team is a Super Bowl team. And that is why ownership feels like they had to make the move because the talent is there. Now, a new coach has to really feel like if the talent is really there because the general manager certainly feels like they have a championship roster.
You misspoke. Cleveland won 5 games, and Kevin Stefanski got a better job, not 8. Uh, so it's even more incredible. Bucky, what do you think of the Titans hiring Robert Salah, the Dolphins hiring Jeff Hafley?
What we're saying is experience matters. Now more than ever, people want head coaches that know what they're doing. Whether you were successful in your previous gig or not, there's something about knowing how to sit in that seat. So, and Jeff Hafley, he went to the collegiate level and was the coach at Boston College, where he ran and organized a program. He was in charge of the program. He did all of those things. And even though it's not the same, he has a lot of pro experience. So now he can take, hey, I've been the leader of the program, mixed with my experience in the pros, and build a program that will work in Miami with someone that he knows and John Eric Sullivan. And Robert Saleh, I will say this, whatever took place with the Jets were a worse operation once he left. No one can deny that. We can talk about, hey, they didn't accomplish this, but it was a much more buttoned up and a better operating organization when he was in charge. He's a defensive coach. He comes from that side of the ball. What he did in San Francisco this year was remarkable. It deserved a lot of accolades because they were playing a few cards short in the deck, and he did well. Going to Tennessee in that division, I think a couple things worked for him. Seeing D'Amico Ryans have success in Houston, they run the same defense. He mentored D'Amico Ryans because D'Amico was linebacker coach under him as a defensive coordinator. In that division, you're trying to make sure that before we can talk about winning the Super Bowl, can we win our division? Okay, we feel like he can help us go toe to toe with not only Houston, but with Jacksonville and Indianapolis. It makes a lot of sense. They have a quarterback in place. His biggest hire, can he get the offensive coordinator right? Can he find someone that can help Cam Ward maximize his talent? That'll be the thing.
Uh, oh man, I just had a brain fart because I had a great follow up question. It was Sean McDermott, and this is
Mhm.
kind of off script a little bit, but now that he's been fired, Sean McDermott is probably maybe the best candidate available And if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's not been their MO. They like to get their own young guy that about. But
Mhm.
if I'm Pittsburgh, I would consider Sean McDermott. Do you expect Sean McDermott to land a job maybe as quickly as John Harbaugh did?
I think so. I think he lands one. I don't think Pittsburgh is a job. I would look at Arizona Cardinals potentially as the job because that has a lot of similarities to what he had to go through in terms of rebuilding Buffalo. He has a clear understanding of what is needed, but a lot of it depends on the relationship with the general manager. To me, the perfect fit in Pittsburgh would be a Jesse Minter. And the reason why, when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers history, defensive minded coaches that were very young could grow into the job. You understand the dynamics of Pittsburgh, blue collar city. I'm a believer that the team has to reflect the identity of the city. It has to be a rough and rugged thing. To think that you can come and have a sexy hire, they're gonna throw it all over the yard. That's not what Pittsburgh is. That's not what the fans recognize. Going back to the Steele Curtain and the heyday, to me, Jesse Minter is the perfect fit because he understands the division, having worked in Baltimore. He understands how to fix defenses. We saw what he's done with the Chargers. He has a great feel. You talked about it because you talked about knowing his dad and all that. To me, it is a no-brainer. This should be done. It should be done quickly. To me, he is the right fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Here's where Pittsburgh, I want Jesse to get the Bills job because I'd want him to win right now. But the other thing about Pittsburgh is like it's an organization that controls things from an organizational top
Mhm.
down point of view, where this is where I actually think Jesse's father, not in a negative way, but just in a realistic way, it actually works against him because Rick Minner has NFL experience, high
Mhm.
level college experience. He's been a head coach, and I think like he's been molded by his father, where I think Pittsburgh likes to mold a young coach.
Mm.
And I'm not saying Rick wouldn't be on board because he would. I mean this, Rick, his son, these are incredible people. But like Rick has molded his son since childhood for this. Where I'm just saying I think Pittsburgh from Cower
Mhm.
to Tomlin, and I don't remember when Chuck Noll started out, but they've always been able to mold the quarterback or the head coach in their image, and Rick's already done a great job of molding Jesse. So that would be my pushback. I want to move on to Eric Bieniemy being rehired, it looks like, as the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. I actually love this. I
Mhm.
think that Eric coming back to KC will be more comfortable. Like, hey, man, I'm just OC. This is who I
Mhm.
am here in Kansas City. I got a relationship with Andy and Patrick Mahomes. I can come in here and crack the whip and hold these guys accountable. Let Andy continue to be the nice guy that Andy loves to be and just draw up plays. I think this is a win-win for Eric and a win-win for the Chiefs.
I agree with you. I think it's the perfect thing. I think their time apart has probably created a greater affinity for both parties. Not only Andy, but I think maybe the organization has a better feel for what Eric Bieniemy did when he was the offensive coordinator previously. When we talk about Andy Reid and his strengths as a play caller, he is that. But as you know, there has to be diversity on your staff in terms of good cop, bad cop. And for the things that Andy Reid is, he probably leans more to the good cop. Eric is better served to be the bad cop to hold everyone accountable. I thought it was telling when he was released, I think maybe from the Commanders, and he helped out with them in their Super Bowl preparation before they played the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC Championship game. And Patrick Mahomes talked about how they missed that. There was something that has obviously been missing from the Chiefs the last few years. And whether or not Eric Bieniemy is the best tactician or play caller or those things, doesn't matter. His presence provides something that was lacking in that locker room in terms of Accountability in terms of discipline and detailed or whatever is needed there. Also, the elusive thing that has gotten away from Eric Bieniemy has been the head coaching job. His best opportunity to probably land a head coaching job would be from within in Kansas City because there would be enough people that could advocate for him, i.e., Patrick Mahomes. If and when Andy Reid decides to walk away, he's probably better served to get that job than any other. Because we've seen the circuit, right? You can only interview 11, 12 times and be told no. You're not going to get it that way. So it's going to have to be an internal hire. And if it's not that, it reminds me of Sherm Lewis. Sherm Lewis was a longtime offensive coordinator in the league, longtime offensive coordinator for Mike Holmgren in Green Bay and those things. And it was always that conversation about Sherm Lewis getting a head job, and it never materialized. But man, he went down as one of the best offensive coordinators in ball because he eventually had to be okay with this is going to be my role. And I think sometimes, man, roles are there for a reason. And Eric Bieniemy may have an opportunity to be a head coach, but his role may just be to be a great Super Bowl champion offensive coordinator where he's at.
The other thing we have to recognize, Bucky, is it's not the 1990s. It's not back when you were playing. It's 2025, and the coordinator can make $3, $4, $5, $6 million a year, and draw up plays or handle his side of the football and do all that, but not have to deal with everything the head coach does. It's a great living. And you look at, like, right now, no one's talking about Spagnuolo with any of these head coaching jobs. He's a defensive coordinator, very well respected. I'm sure they're paying him anywhere from $3 to $5 million a year. I'm sure they're willing to do the exact same thing for Eric Bieniemy, and it's a great life. And you're involved with ball. You're winning championships. I think, having been someone that was like, hey, man, y'all making too much about Eric Bieniemy being a head coach. It's not who he is. As an offensive coordinator for Andy Reid, ideal. And like you said, I think if he's going to get a head coaching job, it would be from within the Chiefs organization. This is a win for everybody involved. Hopefully, this will turn out well. A couple other topics I want to get with you on, and I want to start with, because you're a defensive back, catch or interception. Jaquan McMillan, Brandon Cooks, catch or interception.
Has to be an interception because you can't make it a catch because Brandon Cooks didn't finish with the ball and didn't secure the catch completely. That has to be an interception. And the people that are breaking it down, one of the things that annoys me about NFL football when it comes to the replays, they always show the replays in slow motion. They never show it in real time. And in real time, there's no way that you can say that that is a Brandon Cooks catch because he hits the ground and doesn't finish with the ball. To me, it's a lot of conversation about nothing. That was clearly an interception. We have seen more controversial things happen. To me, that wasn't controversial at all. Brandon Cooks didn't finish with the rock. That's why McMillan got up immediately and had the interception.
What ended up, because initially watching the game live, I was like, oh, man, that's a catch. That's wrong. And then when I thought about it, I was like, well, hold on. If that ball had landed on the ground after that fall and them tussling for the ball, everyone would have been like, oh, that's an incompletion. He didn't survive the ground.
Right.
So if it falls on the ground, there's no controversy at all. Well, if it never falls on the ground and the other guy ends up with the ball, it's an interception. But Mike Pereira made some comments about just all the comments about refereeing and reiterated a point that I think a lot of people have been saying now for 20, 30 years is we need full-time refs. Would that fix help improve anything?
I don't know if fix, help, or improve anything. It would probably make their life maybe a little easier. But a lot of the referees that I know, I have a college teammate that is a referee who's a dentist. I mean, I don't know if he wants to give up his practice to be an official full time. I don't know what the money evens up at, but I do understand there's a lot of conversation about that. But right now, like you just think about the amount of technology that they assist the referees with. New York is basically a puppeteer when it comes to the calls that we see on Sundays. Like they have the advanced replay, they have replay assist, they have people from the control center calling in. I mean, I don't know how much more we can do. And I'm gonna say this, there should be a human error element to that. The game is played by humans. It's not played by or officiated by robots. There's going to be some imperfections in the game. Like that's kind of a part of it. Like in basketball, they talk about the ball don't lie. Like that has to be a thing. But I think we're so conditioned that we cry and whine about everything. Where some of it, man, we got to play through some of these adverse situations to get to the other side. You've talked about ball teaching life lessons. Life ain't fair. Sometimes you have to play through some things. And I'm not saying that these referees are making egregious errors on purpose, but there is a human element to it that you have to work around.
What did you think of Sean McDermott's contention? This is where I did agree that, like, hey, man, they should have slowed it down and taken the 3 to 5 minutes to look under the hood and give everybody the satisfaction of like, no, we took this seriously and we took a real look.
Now, I agree with that. I was surprised that they rushed back to play. To me, this was, hey, let's do a little replay assist. Let's look at it. Let's make sure. But I had the same thing that you had. If the ball hits the ground, we're talking about it being incomplete. It never hit the ground. It ended up in the defender's hands. So it has to be an interception. It's either incompletion or interception at that point. But just slow it down so they can breathe a little bit, make sure they got the call right. And then Sean McDermott could be satisfied. But because it was such a quick thing, put the ball down, spot it, let's go, it did feel a little chaotic. And when he called the timeout in particular, I thought they definitely would at least have an extended conversation about the call because it is so big and there was so much on the line.
Finally, Bucky, let's look ahead to the weekend. Some interesting matchups. Sam Darnold has a chance to make it to a Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. No one saw that coming. The Denver Broncos are going to have to play without Bo Nix. They got Jarrett Stidham. Let's start with the Broncos and their chances without Bo Nix. Is it Patriots going to win this? Is that a foregone conclusion, or you expect Sean Payton to be able to do something with Jarrett Stidham with just a week to prepare him?
I think Sean Payton will have a great game plan for Jarrett Stidham, but it's really hard to expect someone who hasn't played all year to jump in the biggest game of the year. And you know it, man, because you've been around these games. When you get to the point of the championship game, all the vets used to tell me, hey, it gets faster from preseason to regular season, postseason, and every round that you advance, it becomes faster. His first opportunity to play is going to be at a breakneck pace in a violent game where people are playing for a Super Bowl. It's going to be very difficult for him to get past the Patriots. And I'll say this, the Patriots are underrated in terms of their defense and what they displayed. If they can make C.J. Stroud look like he was overwhelmed by the moment, I think they're going to make it very, very difficult for Jarrett Stidham. Also because the people in the building know Jarrett Stidham from his little history when he was drafted by the Patriots. So I think it's going to be a tall task for the Broncos to be able to get that done.
Rams, Seahawks, Sam Darnold, injured oblique, didn't have to do much last week. The Seahawks defense is incredible. The Rams are a tiny bit schizophrenic, or I don't know what to make of the Rams. What do you think in this game?
Man, I was in the building the Thursday night when they played. I mean, the Seahawks did a great job coming back and winning, but the Rams had control of the game. And to me, there's still this feel for the Rams that they know who Sam Darnold is. They faced him last year with the Vikings. They've seen him melt down before early in the year against him. To me, I just think they walk into that game with a level of confidence that if we can shut the run down and make this a Sam Darnold game, that they'll get him. In spite of the success that he had at the end of the game on Thursday night, the last time they played when they won it. Look, I'm going to go against the grain. I just think I feel like the Rams and the Seahawks were two of the most complete teams. But in these games, I just have a greater sense that I will lean on Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay to find a way to get it done. more so than leaning on Sam Darnold.
Bucky, thank you so much for the time. Great job as always. We'll see you next time. That was Bucky Brooks. Hey, we're going to end the show with, we're going to be joined by my friend Jeffrey Steele. Jeffrey has released a song, A Voice. You guys have, I think, have heard it on this song. You've on this show. You've heard it on the BYOG deal. It's now taken off. I think it's number 3 on the country music charts. Everybody's talking about it. Jeffrey's out on the road, but I wanted to bring him in to talk about the success of the song and just plug it one more time. But before we get to Jeffrey, I'm actually going to talk about our other sponsor who Jeffrey and I both love, and that's Relief Factor. If you guys have heard me talk about Jeffrey and you've seen us on BYOG, Jeffrey is the 64-year-old country music's Hall of Fame singer-songwriter who, has befriended me. I befriended him. He's probably my best friend here in Nashville. This guy at 64 wakes up every morning and bikes 30 miles a day. It's how he clears his head. It's how he gets right with the world before taking on the world. He's 64 and can do this, and part of the reason why is because he takes Relief Factor. Relief Factor is the 100% drug-free daily supplement that fights inflammation. Inflammation is the source of all those aches and pains that are telling you, well, you can't do what you used to do. You can't go hit the gym. You can't go take that long walk with your wife or girlfriend. It's inflammation is the source of those aches and pains, and Relief Factor fights it very effectively, naturally. And they have this great program, this great 3-week quick start program that's just $19.95. That's $20. And for 70% of the people that try the 3-week quick start, they circle back and re-up because they're already experiencing the benefits of Relief Factor. They can feel the joints pain improvement. They can feel the inflammation dissipating. $20. That spare $20 you have in your pocket, it's in your jeans right now, it's laying on your night table or nightstand. That $20 could be the key to you getting the mobility and pain relief that you've been looking for. Try that $20 on Relief Factor. 2 ways to do it. You can call 1-800, the number 4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Or you can visit relieffactor.com. That's relieffactor.com or 1-800-4-RELIEF. We'll take a break here and come back. Let's play my favorite song here, Damn Shame, Luke. Let's play Damn Shame, and we'll come back with Jeffrey Steele. We'll probably give you a little taste of his video for A Voice, and then we'll catch up with Jeffrey about, what's he doing on the road and the success of his song. We'll do all of that. Are we ready to go? We'll do all that. X.
I've been selling my stuff, hustling eBay, PlayStation car parts for little or no pay, so I can sit out here and watch the Titans play. Stumble on home and rub my blue balls away. It's a damn shame what the NFL has turned to for fans like me and fans like you. Wish I could just wake up and Patriots red, white, and blue, but I can't. This football nightmare's true. Living in a Madden world with Lombardi soul. These cowards bound to feminists, Lord knows they all just want to wear pantyhose and control what you think. Wanna vex you and mask you, and they don't think we know that they drink Bud Light too. Cause these players don't hit, might as well have limp wrists. Cause of these cowards bowing down to feminists. wish sports media would look out for fans and not just Taylor Swift promoting her brand. Lord, we out in the parking lot, tailgating, grilling meat, and the obese just can't wait to eat. Well, God, if you're a referee and blind as a bat, Roger Goodell should grow a pair and give you the axe. We had Derrick Henry, we played ground and pound, but the idiot Titans chased our king out of town. Lord, it's a damn shame what the NFL has turned to for fans like me and fans like you. Wish I could just wake up in Patriots red, white, and blue, but I can't. This football nightmare's true. Living in a Madden world with Lombardi's soul. These cowards bound to feminists, Lord knows they all just want to wear pantyhose and control what you think. Want to vex you and mask you, and they don't think we know that they drink Bud Light too. Cause these players don't hit, might as well have limp wrists. Cause with these cowards bowing down to feminists. I've been selling my stuff, hustling eBay, PlayStation car parts for little or no pay.
Words are our religion, no regrets in our decisions. We all wanna go to heaven with freedom. It's my obligation, no hate, discrimination, raising up your hands for freedom.
All right, welcome back. We're having some connection difficulties with Jeffrey, and so we're going to play his song, A Voice. The video, we've seen Jeffrey perform it live here in studio with me. They've put an awesome video together. I believe the video is number 2 on the country music charts. The song is number 3. You can get it anywhere on Apple, Spotify, wherever you want. It's called A Voice. Let's play the video, and if we can't clear up the connection difficulties, Jeffrey's video will be the end of our show. If we can clear up the connectivity difficulties, we'll have Jeffrey on after. All right, so here's Jeffrey Steele, A Voice. All right, welcome back. Oh, man. Yeah, we got you. Jeffrey Steele here with me. Let's go ahead and throw Jeffrey Steele up here. Jeffrey, I love the song, obviously. I love the song, obviously. I'm just going to say it, though, because I always keep it real. I like it better live. I obviously.
Will you be? Yes, I'll be. I will be your voice.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? It's where are you at?
I'm at my house in Florida. I just played a festival down here, and I got a special background. I lost my boy about 17 years ago. My youngest son was killed, and this is a statue that was made for him and his last skateboard that he ever rode. He's an amazing skateboarder. And so this is our little tribute to him down here at our house that we come down, and this used to be a place we'd come as a family and spend vacations. So every time I come down here, you know what I mean? It's just special to me. And so I wanted you to see that because I love you. And everybody out there, you've seen us together before, but Jason was the first one. He goes, "Put this out." Do not give it away. Thank you, Jason. I love you, buddy.
And I think you agree with that decision, and you love that decision, and you probably feel like 35 again, huh?
Yeah, and I went and after we played it on your show, we debuted it. I went and played it at an event at John Rich's house, and I still really didn't know it well, and I scrolled the lyrics, and everybody stood up, and I was scrolling the lyrics on my phone to remember the lyrics, and John said the same thing. He said, "You got to put this out. You've been doing this for 40 years, giving all your stuff away, all your voice, your melodies, your music to everybody else. Put this one out for you. This is what you've been saying for as long as I've known you. This is what you've been talking about in terms of what's going on in America right now, and put it out." So I thank you guys like so much. You know me, man. I was pretty comfortable where I was at. there's no need. There's no need to go out and get myself in trouble. But I
Listen,
feel like I gotta say it. I feel like I gotta say it.
yeah, and look, I got all this inside information, and I get to keep saying things that maybe I'm not supposed to say, but Jeffrey's in a writing zone right now, a writing and singing zone. And this song is great, but he's got other ones just as good, and maybe one that's even better. And that's
Yeah.
not, I mean,
And I'm thinking that's what I would want to come with if I could get to come back with another song. And but yeah, it's Jason. So it just how I'll go on and on. So just stop me. But like in the early 2000s, I had one of those epiphany moments, discovery moments, and it was after losing my voice and retraining my voice and getting my voice back, and had to become a songwriter in the interim to make a living and raise my four kids. But I had a moment where I got into a room that I didn't want to be in, and I had to finish a song. I didn't want to finish somebody's half-written song. I just like writing my own songs. I was like, man, I'm gonna be trapped in a box. I'm not gonna be able to say what I want to say. And I reluctantly agreed to finish this song. I got in the room. It was the most mind-opening experience I learned that day how to write my song. You know what I mean? Like how to write my song. And it just opened the floodgates back in the early 2000s for me. And I feel like I've had, as a writer, that kind of epiphany right now with everything that's happening in the world. And as I've gotten older and I've lived through my son's loss and this journey with God and with Jesus, that has put all of these people, everybody in that video is somebody that went through something that's part of my life now, that's been part of my life for 20 years. So I'm at the spot in my journey where I have that same feeling as a writer. Like I know all this stuff now that I've seen. I've been able to put it in the sifter, as it were, and just let it blend around. And I'm just writing. I have a 25 song record coming out called American Storyteller, and it's going to be the song. I know the one you're talking. I think it's going to be the next one if we get a next one. So anyway, that's
so
my story.
let me ask a question
Yes, sir.
that your wife has probably asked, and I'll be the second person to ask this. And don't read too much into this, the audience. I love Jeffrey like a brother.
Mhm.
But,
Mhm.
like, does this song, A Voice, and this success, does this mean I'm going to be seeing less of you? That there's going to be less of you here in Nashville? Because I could imagine things are blowing up for you again.
Yes, but she goes with me everywhere, and that's been part of this road that I've been on now. Back in the day when I had the record deals, and that you got the same kind of story. I was swinging off chandeliers and living the dream with my bandmates and living a bad life. And I got the opportunity to change my life, and I did. And that the result of that has been, we're together everywhere now. We have the best time. We go to coffee shops together. We just love traveling. We travel in an RV, and we travel around in an RV around the country, going to coffee shops and playing these little songwriter shows I do. That could change here. I don't know, but we basically hang out together, and I hope to keep that as obviously as tight as always, because I don't want to be out there alone. I don't want to be out there alone.
Well, I'm just concerned you're going to be out there. Your kids are grown, So, you're an empty nester. You and your wife can just run around the city and sing and, perform everywhere. But I want you to think about your grandkids and
Yeah.
me, Jeffrey. We need you occasionally here in Nashville so we can still go out to eat. Jeffrey probably
Oh
weighs, what do you
man.
weigh, 160 pounds? But Jeffrey eats like a 300-pounder. And, he's a guy I can go out and enjoy a good meal with. So I'm just concerned you're never going to be in Nashville anymore.
Well, I can only hope that, like, and on to your first point on the grandkids, which is a huge part of my life, it's very tough, and it hasn't presented itself as a situation yet, but I know it could be, right? So my hope is that I can take them with me as much as possible. I got nothing wrong. I've been living on a bus all my life, so and it's nothing for us to be on a bus for a few weeks at a time, and the kids love going. So if that presents itself down the road, then I think hopefully we can do that. But in terms of you, so you may have to start coming out and meet me some places to get some steaks, and on me. You
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You always take care of me, so it would be on me. And but when I'm in town, it's lamb and fillet. Let's go, baby.
Yeah,
Bone in fillet.
as long as this song is hot, I'm never paying for another meal again with you. I'm just working as this is my credit. I talked him into this. The credit I get is a free steak once a month. Man, this is what's been the best reaction so far? I've seen John Rich. I've seen Big Kenny. I've seen a lot of people in the music industry tweeting about it, talking about it. I saw Sean Davis on Gutfeld's show on Fox News.
Oh my gosh!
Shout you out.
Cat, big time, and then Breitbart News, of course. A lot of morning news shows are picking it up now. It's really picking up some steam, and the fun thing is, John Kahn from Breitbart News, like I would call him up, and I say, "Hey, man, I played it last night, and it got a standing ovation." And after about the fifth time I call him, he goes, "Let me guess, he got a standing ovation." I go, "Yeah." And then I mentioned something, man, I'm worried about people hearing the idea and maybe trying to rewrite the idea before I get a chance to release it. And he goes, "Maybe you should stop playing it live." So he was smacking me around like a punching bag. But but what I was going to say, the response live, Jason, you know this stuff. I've had like some big songs. I've had some big songs over the years that weren't, my face wasn't on, but that I wrote. And I go to see people sing them, and you see the crowd, 30,000, 40,000 singing all the words to your song, and you're just going, wow. But I have never seen, and my scenario, it's just me and a guitar. I get up on stage and I don't set the song up. I just say, this is a new song that I wrote that's coming out, and I play it, and something is getting people on their feet. I've never seen it before in my career doing what I do. It's just spontaneously, they're like waiting for me to hurry up and finish the song so they can stand up. I've never seen that in my career. It's scary, and it's beautiful, and it's an amazing feeling that I'm trying to wrap my head around. And then, I played a show last night, and everybody was on their feet, and my buddy was in the front row, and my buddy Mike Wood, and he told me there was a lady behind him when I sang the line about Charlie Kirk. She goes, "Oh, that's disgusting. It's disgusting." But everybody was on their feet. But there's always going to be one or two that are going to try to make something into something for a stupid reason. And I have so much to pontificate on that if you choose to, but that's up to you. But
No,
it's been
go ahead.
amazing. It's been amazing.
Go ahead,
No,
pontificate. The floor is yours.
But I mean, I feel like, in these times, we need people that will stand behind and stand in front of and stand beside others and be a voice for them. And for kids, obviously, you gave me some of the figures that child trafficking is like 6 billion a year. And in sports betting, like the things that are the biggest industries in our country right now, it's insane what is driving it. And I think people feel like they're not spoken for. And I think this song is really that simple of a message. And I think if most Americans, if they did feel like they had a voice, they would speak up for somebody else. That's how Americans are. That's how the Americans are when I travel around the country and play my shows, that's pretty much what I see everywhere. I don't see all this stuff that I see on the news. I don't see all these statues and flags coming down. When Charlie Kirk got assassinated, the Sunday after, there was a huge nationwide prayer vigil, and there happened to be one in my downtown Franklin, Tennessee. So I called a couple buddies. I said, "Hey, you going to go down to that vigil for Charlie?" And they said, "Yeah, you want to go?" So we went down there thinking, 40, 50 people, 5,000 people down there in Franklin Square singing and praying and just arms going back and forth. And the first thing that came in my head, Jason, was Charlie Kirk Choir. It was like a Charlie Kirk Choir. And nobody was tearing down a statue and burning a flag. Nobody was beating nobody up. Nobody was hitting anybody with a bat. Nobody was wearing a face mask over their face and hiding who they were. It was just people praying for something better. And it's turned into this crazy politic now, but that's what I saw. And I told you this too, but when I played it for a few industry people, they said, "Man, we can help you with the song, but you got to change that line." And that's how I knew. That's how I knew. That's been the story of my career, Jason. Like, somebody wants me to change something to make it fit. And I go, "Oh, I nailed it." They want me to change it. I know I nailed it. And it's a good lesson for young songwriters. And that is my big thing, is that young songwriters get something from this, that they're not afraid to write what they see. In the 60s, Bob Dylan, Peter, Paul and Mary, you look at the history of the left movement in America, they had this whole music wrapped around it. All these iconic songwriters that were writing about the times changing, and they had Billboard magazine, they had Rolling Stone magazine, they had all these forces around them propping up the message that this was better, and this is what we had to do, and pushing Jesus out of the way, and here we are today with that, and we've got a world full of, the greatest song in the music business is WAP, wins 9 Grammys. And I'm struggling to get somebody to play my song on the internet that's shouting out for being a voice. It's just this where we are, and I'll just say this. I know I talk a lot, but civilization is built on a garden that's sitting on a graveyard of all the bodies that were killed and raped and maimed and decapitated and hung and burned to create the civilization, right? And that is the cycle of man. We conquer and kill to create this better civilization. But the only thing that can prop that up is having a faith to try to be, and you have to have faith something higher than us. And that faith in God and Jesus Christ is that's what keeps us just a little bit elevated over the humanity of everything. Otherwise, we're just the lion eating the lamb, and it's just civilization does this, and we conquer and kill and create something better, so to speak. But if we don't have faith, it collapses, and that's what we're seeing happen in America right now. That's my take from stepping back and, high school dropout.
All right. Well, now that you're a big megastar again,
Oh God,
I want to make sure you don't big time me. I've already Tiffany's already got us scheduled. We're going to I think January 30th. You're in Leapers Fork, I believe, performing.
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Fox and Lock.
So I want to make sure I got a good table there. So I think I know someone that is performing there, and so hopefully he'll help us out. But we're already scheduled. Going to be there to support you. I can imagine that show's going to be sold out.
Yes,
a lot of momentum for that. But I'm looking forward to seeing you and patting you on the back and making sure that no one stabs you in the back either, because we need more courageous voices out there, and what you're doing and what you've done for the music industry, what you've done for me and everybody, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for making the time for us this morning. We wish you continued success. We will keep promoting and supporting you, and I'll see you at the latest on January 30th.
BYOB. I'll see you back there. When are we doing another one? Are we going to do one soon?
As soon as you're back here and available,
right.
we'll do it. So
I'll be back. I'll be back when I get back for January for the Fox and Lock show. I'll be back for that next month. So,
awesome.
man, I look forward to seeing you, buddy. And thank you, Jason. You are the real deal. You've always been the real deal, and you're out there taking your arrows every day too. And it's just common sense. It's just common sense what we're doing. We're just seeing the obvious, and I just hope people will start to just back up and, like I said, stand behind, stand in front of others, be their voice, especially for these kids. Don't think too much harder than that. It's pretty simple. Be a voice. And I love you, brother. I can't wait to see you.
Love you
Can't
too.
wait to eat a steak.
We got to go. Thank you, Jeffrey. In 15 minutes or so, 12 minutes or so, 12 o'clock, I'll be on the Harmony channel with Virgil, Shamika, and TJ Moe, and we'll be talking about Don Lemon and the raid that he led on a church in Minnesota. But that's it, and that's all for us today on Fearless. We'll see you next time.